Tasty Water by Kai Shui. So listen, everybody, if you ever wondered about creating a memory palace, I'm going to create a memory palace live here on our little YouTube call, and I'd really love to have you here live. But if you're not on the live and you're coming back on a replay and you're not subscribed to the channel, hit subscribe. If you like this kind of live entertainment and you want to be live, then hit subscribe and click that little bell, and then of course just be generally engaged and involved and leave your comments. Now what I've done here is got a palette here ready, a canvas rather, and sorry, this is the palette, but I'm going to start to create a memory palace, and I always wanted to be an artist, so to speak, but in order to be an artist you got to practice art, right? And it's like anything. I was reading Jonathan Rivera's The Podcast Mogul newsletter, and he talks about how, you know, you want to do something, you got to do it, you got to practice, and that's a real fundamental flaw that a lot of people have, is they want to do things but they don't get out and do it. So in wanting to become an artist, just got to get in there and do it. So here's what we're going to do. I'm really interested in art and in memory palaces in particular, so I'm gonna make a memory palace right here and make it artistic as well and see how that all comes across, because I think it's going to be really, really fun. And if you're getting on the call and you want to say hello, that's great as well. So the first thing, actually, before I get started here, to think about is the color scheme, right? And what is the memory palace going to be? And of course, what is it going to help me do while that I'm creating the memory palace in terms of, you know, actually exercising my memory? So we can exercise spatial memory, we can exercise episodic memory, we can exercise procedural memory, we can exercise all kinds of forms of memory, even muscle memory a little bit, and we want to think about what the memory palace is going to be and what it's going to help us remember. And so I thought I would do my kindergarten class, and that made me think about my elementary school, and then I thought about maroon. I was like, well, what are some of the colors there? And this isn't exactly maroon, but I'm going to get it involved somehow. And I was wondering if maybe I might put a little bit of sky in there, and like that. Now it's going to be a traditional memory palace, but the thing is that I just really want to start getting my creativity going and allowing my creativity to elicit certain memories, certain things and thoughts that might just come to mind about kindergarten at my elementary school, which was Parkcrest in Canada. And wow, what an amazing set of memories already starts to come. And then you begin to think, like, what was the name of the teacher? And I'm not sure if I should name public figures or whatever, but or non-public figures, but in any case, we're trying to elicit our creativity in this. And so if you haven't got my creativity Kickstarter book, this is one way to do it, is just to be creative and think. So I'm thinking here about my elementary school and kindergarten, in particular the classroom, and then I'm going to start to create a memory palace for it. If you're hopping live on the call, hit the thumbs up, let me know where in the world you are and what you're doing and what you're thinking and how you're feeling, and have you drawn a memory palace recently? If not, why not? And if you don't have Creativity Kickstarter, it's a really, really cool book. It has a secret link inside, and you know, it's just amazing what can happen if you start to use your creativity and elicit your creativity. And you can just go to /CK, which is magneticmemorymethod.com/CK. It'll take you to the Amazon page, at least in the US store where that is, and grab it. Now, in terms of thinking about the actual memory palace, now I know that it's a room, I know where the door was, and I've got to start thinking about the general shape. And you know, like I said, I got my color scheme sort of figured out, and it was maroon shirts that we had to wear, at least in band class, and with these white pants and so on. And I'm just thinking about memory. I'm actually exercising my memory as I do this, and just coming up with all these sorts of things and allowing an act of creativity to be my guide. And another color that I thought of that I really think is really fun is I have this memory of how we used to have to go and you know, it'd be winter, and then the spring would come and the sun would come up over the mountains, and you would see the sun, and you would see the the dewy, mossy grass and so forth. And so I just think that I want to establish some color here. And you know, I start thinking about the painter Mondrian, and then I think, where did I first encounter this painter Mondrian? Where did I first see one of his paintings? And I'm just developing slowly some memory, thinking about stuff, and creating a memory palace. Now, memory palaces actually normally should take no less than 2 to 5 minutes. But like I said, I want to practice artistry, just relax a bit more, have a bit more art in my life. So I'm thinking about the door and the hallway, and I remember where the office was, which would be down here, but I'm just going to draw this one room for this particular memory palace. This is going to really solidify it in my mind, and it's going to be a lot stronger as a result. And so I want to kind of just really nail that door first and foremost. And here's the interesting thing. I hadn't even been thinking about this until I thought about it, until I started to draw. But actually, there was another door here that led into where I had grade 1 with Mrs. Maxwell. And then there was another door over there where there was this dead-end room. That was the room where I was often, unfortunately, sent as a kind of mini detention to pay penance for misbehaving in class, and they didn't know what to do with me. So they would send me in there. And I'm also now remembering that actually there were emergency doors to get outside right here. So I'm going to need to account for those doors in my memory palace here. And I'm going to need to account for that door to Mrs. Maxwell's classroom. And now I'm thinking about where her emergency doors were. And you see, memory creates more memory. All memory comes from memory. It comes from association. And association is a really, really powerful thing to practice, to develop. And one of the ways you do it is by memory palace creation. You just get in there and you create memory palaces and you start to do the work. And then I start thinking about, like, what are some of the things I can remember? And I remember we were watching a really interesting movie one time that taught us about traffic lights, the rules of traffic lights. Hey, if you're hopping on the call, say hello, tell me where you are in the world. We're creating a memory palace live here, thinking about the process together, and having a lot of fun. So all these memories are coming, and I remember this movie with the traffic jam, you know, teaching us the traffic rules and a dragon and the colors. And I remember that TV was there one time. So I might put this into my memory palace as a magnetic station because it's so potent and memorable. And thanks there for that thumbs up. Let me know where you are in the world, and keep those thumbs up coming to let me know you're engaged. And if you like, get out a piece of paper and create a memory palace with me. And I'm thinking here now of, all right, thinking here about this wall and letting some memories come, and I want to keep that door locked in there and really, really allow this to fulminate and let memory create more memory and more memory. And you know, everybody who's here, I want to announce that next week I'm giving a free webinar. If you go to magneticmemorymethod.com/data, like DATA, you can get registered. The registration will be closing at a certain point, and I'd really, really love to have you on that. It's a free training called Digital Amnesia Takedown, and we're going to talk about 3 ways that you can really, really memorize anything fast that you want. So that's magneticmemorymethod.com/DATA. And so here we go. Now, this is emergency doors. Now this is the door to the next classroom. And I remember that the teacher's desk was here, and then there was a wall here. And this area was kind of a weird shape because the hallway went this way, and so it wasn't exactly a line, a straight wall. So I'm going to represent it that way. And the actual door was here. These were the emergency exit outside. That was Mrs. Maxwell's room over there. And then when I got to grade 1, I had to actually always walk through here with all my classmates, and it was really, really amazing how that all worked. So here we are, having a lot of fun creating a memory palace. I don't know if you guys are joining me doing this, but that would be a lot of fun to create together. And just go through your own memory and start to think of the things that you remember as you go along creating this memory palace. And again, if you know all the rules of the magnetic memory method, you've taken my free course over at magneticmemorymethod.com, then you know all this stuff. You know it real well. And you know the rules that I'm going to follow to guide the actual process through it. But this is just play. This is fun. This is getting our creativity rolling and moving and allowing ourselves to explore memory and what it can mean, and really developing, relaxing, associating relaxation with memory, practicing our spatial memory, and having a lot of fun. And it's just really good exercise for the brain. And just checking in with everybody here and having a lot of fun. So as you exercise your spatial memory, you want to think about some of the different things that you're feeling about it. And you can think about qualities of light, you can think about qualities of sound, you can start to think about the different people that you knew in that place, different classmates. And I don't really have any overtly distinct memories where I would say I'm 100% certain that this or that person was in kindergarten with me. But I do have some pretty distinct memories of grade 1. And I remember the last time I was back home, I had a nice time with someone that I'd gone to school with, and we recorded a discussion about our elementary school, and really brought back a lot of memories and gave me some accuracy of how that all worked out. And let me know if this sound works out all right. I know it's a busy street, but I just love being out on the porch here, and if you're able to hear me, let me know. That'd be great to confirm that. And it's odd to me that people haven't been in touch to solve that riddle that I posed a while ago about this image and the letters V and N and how that they play into things. So I wonder if people are really stumped by that one, or if they're trying or not trying. Anyway, this is an interesting thing. And like I was saying, as I started to create this, I realized that there was actually another room, and using the magnetic memory method, that room had another room, so we would want to strategize how exactly that all works. And so if you would like, I'm giving a free webinar very soon, and you'll get all the registration details over at magneticmemorymethod.com/data, D-A-T-A. Really love if you would sign up for that. And let's think more about my color schemes here. I also thought about putting some blue in there, but I'm not entirely sure how that would work. And Corpus says the sound is good. Well, thank you for letting me know, Corpus. Have you ever gotten out a Memory Palace journal and drawn and really spent time like this, just thinking about the things that you remember and exploring all the qualities of it, and maybe thinking of some of the colors that were associated with it like I did? And you know, I'm not entirely sure that this material here is really the best, but as I was reading in Jonathan Rivera's The Podcast Mogul, you know, you just get out and you try things, you do things. That's how you learn. So we've got some a comment here from PM Kiran. Good afternoon, Anthony. Well, good afternoon to you as well. Great to see you here. And let me know if you have, you guys, if you have questions about memory. I'm here to answer questions, and I'm just going to be making a memory palace. Corpus says not on paper. Well, how do you do it then? Do you do it just mentally in your mind? Because I think that just doing it mentally isn't quite, well, I don't think, I know it isn't totally eliciting all of the wonderful parts of your brain that you can use in order to really substantiate that memory palace, so that you're getting your spatial memory all intact, and you are allowing that to guide your practice. Everything's about practice, you know. If you want to do anything, you've got to do it. You've got to be in the game. Corpus says yes. It's yes. You got to say yes to the game. You got to be in the game, and you got to then keep going, because every skill is kind of something you build, and then you get in the water, and then you practice keeping it in the water and going wherever you want to go. So I really enjoy that. It's the same with memorizing cards, you know. You can just develop it. I had a great session today with a guy named Jeff. We were just jamming about topics that relate to entrepreneurialism and all these things, and he had been He had been a football player, professional football player here in Australia, and got into real estate, which I'm always interested in, and it's just an interesting topic, of course, because I deal with memory palaces, and I love memory palaces. I love locations. I love buildings, and I just love thinking all about how that we form so much of our memory of place. And if you didn't read or hear my interview with Lynn Kelly, who did the memory code, and you haven't read that book, wow, like the stuff that she's discovered about how important spatial memory has been in deep human history, absolutely unbelievable. Anyway, you can become so conscious of memory, and talking with Jeff today, we were just talking about what it means to become a writer, what it means to become good at anything, and it's just practice. It comes down to practice. So I want to learn how to do art. Well, I got to do some art, right? I want to learn how to memorize cards. I got to memorize cards. And one of the things you can do is get special cards that mean something to you. So when you touch them, when you hold them in your hand, it's not just any old cards, but it's cards that are special. And these are special to me. I got them in Beijing. I got them in Beijing, in the art district of Beijing. Who was with me? Well, a great friend of the Magnetic Memory Method family, one of the earliest of the supporters who got the Magnetic Memory Method Masterclass, and he's gotten the back-end mastermind group, and he's also got Self-Improvement Supercharger. And when I heard I was in Beijing, he just took me all over the city, and he was with me when I bought this deck of cards. I did a magic trick right then and there for him and the owner of the store. It was so much fun, and maybe that's what I should draw next as a memory palace after I'm done this one, because that store, I've never used it as a memory palace, and there's all parts of this art district in Beijing that would be really good. And now that I'm thinking about it, that whole little district and neighborhood would be great. Now we had a little comment come up here. Let's just check in with that. Prafola, good morning, or good afternoon, Anthony. I'm thinking to build a memory palace of my college, but there I know only rooms. All are the same, a little confusing. Prafola, this is exactly why I teach people to draw the memory palaces and go through this process. Now, you don't have to spend all this time that I'm spending making a memory palace. This is the first time I've ever done this. I don't really like this material that much. It's not gelling here. I'd need a different kind of piece of paper or whatever. But you get in, you practice, you put it out there, you start to feel it, and you think about that room, and you distinguish it through the drawing process. And that's going to give it a lot more permanence in your mind. It's going to give it a lot more permanence. It's just so perfect and beautiful how it all works. And I really want to force this yellow in here. But don't think about how the rooms are the same as a problem. Think of them as a solution. Think of that sameness as a great opportunity to practice spatial memory, to practice it deeper, to practice it at a more integral level that will get the practice of using spatial memory deeper into your mind, deeper into your practice, deeper into your heart and your soul, and the way that you are operating in the world, so that when you go out and you make new memory palaces, they get faster, they get deeper, and you'll just have a greater mastery over this. You might want to check out something too called the Von Cube, because the Von Cube may give you some other ways of really simplifying that. I like Dean Von, he's cool. If you haven't read Dean Von's book or taken some of his stuff. Speaking of which, I was talking with John McFedrin tonight. I don't know if you ever heard my podcasts with John McFedrin. Actually, I say podcasts. I think he was only on there once, but he was in the room another time, so he didn't say anything, but he was there. So that was an interesting thing. Now, just getting back to this, and keep your comments coming, and let's have some discussion points if you like while we're doing this. I want to think now. I've established the entrance. I've established the, well, I haven't finished the sort of exit here, but just feeling around. Doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect whether you're doing it fast or slow, but I've just sort of established the conditions of the walls, just thinking creatively and so forth. Normally when I do this, I just do it with a pen, real quick, not thinking about it too much. But when I do things with, like the Creativity Kickstarter and so forth, which if you don't have one, go to magneticmemorymethod.com/CK. It'll take you over to information about ordering that. Profula says, thank you. Well, thank you for asking about that. It's It's a really good question. I think a lot of people struggle with that. How do you deal with similarity in memory? You know, Bruce Lee said, no ego, no enemy. So don't make it a problem. Make it an asset. Everything's an asset. And that's, again, I want to make a shout out. I always like to feature whatever I'm reading to Jonathan Rivera in the podcast Mogul, because he's talking about similar things in there. If you have a podcast or you're thinking about getting into podcasts, you really, really, really need to look up the podcast Mogul, podcastmogul.com. And yeah, he's a super cool guy and has lots of really, really cool things to share. What I was going to say, though, is if you're going to do this with colors and so forth, one of the things you want to think of is, like, what are some of the colors that come to mind associated with your memory palace? Like I said, we used to have a uniform for when I was in band class, and it was sort of a maroon. This isn't exactly right, but I'm learning to be an artist, so I got to learn about color combinations and figuring it out. And, you know, I got some paint, and I can figure that out with paint later. I just wanted to start with pastel, and so there was that, and then I was telling you about the sun, and, you know, like, really create the association. This is what's going to make things so much easier for you when you want to make memory palaces faster later, because you can just go through that stuff faster later. But, you know, start somewhere, start anywhere, begin anywhere. I think that was John Cage. Begin anywhere. That's the secret, right? But the thing is if you're going to use colors and you want the walls to be distinguished from the interior elements, then you could have a different color to help you start thinking about those interior elements. And you want to think about where your journey is going to start. And here's the kind of screwy thing, is magnetic memory method would tell me not to start my journey in this room at all. So if you hopped on too late and you need to go back and watch the beginning to see that, then that's there. If you want the actual training, go to magneticmemorymethod.com and we'll give you the free video course and you can enjoy that. Or if you'd like to hop on a free webinar I'm giving next week, then go to magneticmemorymethod.com/data, D-A-T-A. And that's a little bit of an acronym pun extension on Digital Amnesia Takedown, because we're going to take it down once and for all on that free webinar, and I'd love to have you there, but you need to be registered because it's not going to be on YouTube. So it's not even going to use YouTube technology. Isn't that exciting? Video, live, and no YouTube. Corpus asks, so are colors like a type of peg? They're a type of rung, let's say, rung on the monkey bars. I'm grabbing at them and I'm using them to help me swing to the next bar on the monkey bar and swing to the next one because I'm making associations. But no, I'm not using colors as a peg in this case, although there are ways that I teach people in the Magnetic Memory Method Masterclass to use colors as kinds of pegs, and actually really, really powerful pegs in what's called the telesynoptic memory palace technique. So colors are powerful, but that's not what we're doing here. We're using them a bit differently today, and that's a good question though, great question. So now, what we've got here is, I remember something really, really nice here. I'm not even gonna start thinking about the order of the stations, maybe just get involved in what the stations are gonna be. And then I remember the teacher's desk was here. And then speaking of monkey bars, sometimes we had this like real small set monkey bar kind of thing in there. I don't know what it was. But we also used to have nap time here in kindergarten, right around here. So I'm just gonna remember this mat that I used to lay on. And that's gonna be there. Isn't that cool? Like we're just, you know, this is, okay, like I'm studying to be an artist and stuff like that. Well, like what kind of art is this gonna be? But isn't it cool to like start to realize and to see something from your mind? And Prafula asks, so in rooms, should I put different pegs? I highly recommend that you go to magneticmemorymethod.com right now, take my free video training, because that's gonna answer all these questions. I don't use the term pegs, and I know that creating new terms may add to some of the confusion out there, but I believe the terms that I've come up with solidify and clarify and make everything a lot easier than all those other terms, because pegs is not right, I don't think. But it's not necessarily wrong either. But Prafula, if you want to study, please get the basics, and when I see a memory palace drawing from you, which I get hundreds every month, sometimes thousands in a month, then you know there's more of a basis for us to explore, but we need you to be trained up first. So that free training is there, and if you want to be on this free webinar, which I highly recommend you get signed up for, data, magneticmemorymethod.com/data, DATA. And think more through this terminology, because the terminology gets people hung up, and I have tried to solve that by solidifying, by simplifying, and really getting it down to simple basics, and allowing the wisdom of breaking things down, simplifying them, to really guide our practice. And it is just about practice. So if you can imagine that this is my millionth memory palace, I'd probably be a lot better at it. But the point is to do. The point is to do, to try. To strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. To seek, to strive, to find, and not to yield. I think that's the way it is. To seek, to strive, to find, and not to yield. Never to yield. So now we're getting in here, and we're going to start thinking about, well, what are our stations going to be, our magnetic stations, and how are we going to make this work? And as I realize now, because the magnetic memory method principles are so strong, this room should not be the start of the journey. And I've got a great new start. Now, I've used this before in a different context, but you can go back and reuse memory palaces. You can start them fresh, and you can allow your experience with them to reconsider. But I just wanted to draw a simple room, or pastel out a simple room, just to see what would happen, what it would be like to do it with you guys here, talking, chatting, exploring ideas, and seeing what memories come up. And when I think of this desk and I think of the teacher, I can call her to mind. It's a great memory exercise to try and remember faces, remember her haircut, remember earrings, remember the kinds of dresses that she wore, and just thinking of have I really remembered her name right? And then I think, no, that wasn't her name actually. Yep, and now I get it sorted out. Now I know what her name is, and then I remember grade 1, and then I go, oh, do I remember the teacher of grade 3? This is powerful memory exercise. It's some of the best memory exercise you can give yourself, and I really hope that you do, because we are, I was talking with John McFedrin. If you haven't heard my podcast with him, he was talking about his mother-in-law, and Schwiegermutter in German, of course, and some of the experience. Oh, I shouldn't be talking personal stuff, but in any case, also today when I was with Jeff and met his partner, and I'll not say her name, keep things personal, but impersonal, protect the identities of the innocent. She had 13 years, she said, with her mother, and dementia, and the slow death of the brain, and how the family had to deal with that. And we don't know 100% for sure, but one of the best ways that you can make sure that your brain, it keeps on ticking, takes a licking and keeps on ticking, is reduce the licking and do the things that keep it ticking. One of the things that keeps it ticking is being creative. Even if your art sucks, well, at least it's getting done, right? At least I'm eliciting my creative impulses. By the way, I'm left-handed, but I'm doing this right-handed. You know why I'm doing it right-handed? Because I want to engage different parts of my brain. I don't want it to atrophy. I want it to be strong. I've done practice training myself to be able to write in both hands, and I've gotten to a certain ability with it. I got at one point so good with it that I actually wrote better with my right hand than with my left hand. And I also have done forwards and backwards training with writing backwards with both hands. And this is all about getting more of your brain involved. And you might be thinking, wow, that's insane. But to not do these things is actually insane. To not practice new things, to not challenge, and to push yourself, and to enable your brain to stretch and to become a powerful asset by eliciting different parts of your brain and taking action. It doesn't really matter if it starts to fade, or if the material sucks. It does matter if your brain starts to fade. So doing and then consistently doing and practicing. And I love to draw. I love to really see the structure beneath things, and I really need to get into everything by doing. So Corpus asks, when does the link /data end? If you want to be on this free webinar, go to magneticmemorymethod.com/data. This is taking place for me on the 25th of August at 9 a.m., but you need to go there and register because the registration is going to close relative to where you are in the world. And so you'll need to hit that link, and you should see a timer that will give you the details of when registration is closing. Then when you click a button, it'll pop up and it'll show you the option, and then you register and you'll be notified of the webinar. And I really look forward to seeing you there. And this is going to be a limited time available webinar, and so you're going to want to be there and be there on time from the very, very beginning. I'm actually giving away to all attendees a free book as an ebook and an audiobook, and so that's going to be a lot of fun. And so you need to be there for that material though, and if you're not, then well, next time, right? This is the 5th year anniversary of me doing this work full time, by the way, and so that's a lot of fun. So, and I'm grateful, really, I should say that I'm grateful to so many people for enabling that to happen, and how open people are about sharing their stories. And you know, I also wanted to pick up today, I'm gonna just see if I got any emails coming in from people. Maybe there's some questions there that could be useful. Oh, there's always so many. Oh, look at this. There's a note from Chuken. I'm always precious about people's name in case they don't want to be shared. But anyway, this is a very, very nice Magnetic Memory Method student who says, so far I've used the Magnetic Memory Method to memorize 4 poems. Well, congratulations. Each poem didn't take more than 10 minutes to memorize. Wow, amazing. I used microstations to memorize each poem. It is truly amazing, and I found that people like me more because I can remember their names. That's an instant positive effect. People will like you more if you can remember more names. He says, there's a lot I'm yet to experience with the Magnetic Memory Method, and so far the results are great. When I promoted it to my friend, she said that my enthusiasm in promoting the Magnetic Memory Method has encouraged her to give it a try. MMM is magical. This could be in the literal sense. This is exactly right. It is magical. It's the closest thing to real magic that exists. I mean, there's card magic, which is basically sleight of hand, and there's stage magic, which is illusion. But the ability to like get information and encode it and then put it out into the world, this is truly real magic, and it really is just as simple as learning some memory techniques, which I love to teach you. So if you want to be on the call, then make sure you're subscribed to the webinar, free webinar that we're going to be doing, the Digital Amnesia Takedown. And that's at magneticmemorymethod.com/data, D-A-T-A. You're gonna love this live webinar. I put a lot of love into it and a lot of care, and I'm teaching 3 ways that you can just learn to remember anything super fast. And you'll 3 times your learning speed if you do the things that I'll be teaching there. It's totally free. I'm even giving away a free book and an audiobook. And this is to celebrate as the 5th year anniversary of the Magnetic Memory Method, and also just something I would like to do. And I'd love to have you there. It's going to be a lot of fun, and absolutely create memory palaces. Creating memory palaces is one of the best things you can do. It elicits your spatial memory, and I'm eliciting mine right now, and so many memories are coming out of the practice, the activity, and you get in the boat and you do it. And this concerns me so much, because when we are talking about digital amnesia, you know, I don't know, have you heard this week's podcast? I think that it's one of the most important episodes. I don't do crazy stunts often, but this is an episode so important that I actually tweeted Elon Musk, because I think he needs to see it. And I did it with all due respect, because I really respect what he's doing with Neuralink and so forth. But it's called 7 Reasons Having a Memory Implant Would Really Suck. And I'd really love for you to go and listen to that and read through the text and so forth, and click those share buttons, and when you like things, hit the thumbs up, because you know the education that we're getting, the marketers, and one of the things that I talk about on this podcast is that they are creating more and more substanceless content. The educational content is lacking in substance more and more and more, and the reason why is because they're studying our behaviors, and then they're just giving us more of the useless stuff that's creating digital amnesia, And one of the reasons it creates digital amnesia is because it wasn't worth paying attention to in the first place. It didn't have any substance. It wasn't teaching. It wasn't sharing. It wasn't demonstrating. It wasn't enabling us to actually take that and go out in the world and do something with it. And unfortunately, all that stuff is losing value, especially to the marketers. So we're getting digital amnesia from multiple angles, and that's why I wrote this piece and recorded the podcast on it. And the first point of that episode was that digital implants will not eliminate the need for practice. So if I want to get good at this kind of thing, I'm going to need to practice it. I'm going to need to do it a lot, and it's not going to look like art, you know? Like, heaven forbid that this could ever be called art, although you never know. If I keep plucking away at it here and working at it, I could turn a memory palace drawing into art. But the intention here isn't for it to be art. This is to elicit memories. And this is the most valuable thing in the world. And it's kind of cool because I just have noticed when I do these things that memory begets memory begets memory, and you just begin to realize how deep the rabbit hole can really go. Then when you throw in meditation practice into the mix, and then you're able to let go and practice, you know, what's called persistent non-symbolic experience, which I've been really getting into and having a lot of great wins with, whoa, you get the best of both worlds. So I'm thinking now of the sunlight that's represented here, abstractly, shining through, and just highlighting some of these areas that will become stations, and thinking about that and letting it fuse. And now I'm allowing my mind to go back over those memories which I was sharing earlier, and just think about it and let it all seep in. Let the tea steep and get richer and richer and richer. And it's absolutely incredible. So that is that. Let's see if we got another email here, or back to our, you know, theme here that we're talking about. You know, one of the things that also concerns me about digital amnesia is how twitchy culture is getting, and how snap decisions are being made, and to the point that people put out a tweet and, you know, the next thing you know, there's war messages and worry about nuclear war and so forth. That's far from the kind of world that I would like to see. I want to see the kind of world who makes like cool art, like this cup here, and and shares art, makes art that we can enjoy, so that when we drink coffee, we're not just drinking boring coffee, or when we drink water, it's not just boring water, but it's water that's in art, you know? And really, really cool. I got this at the museum here in Brisbane, and now that makes that museum more memorable as well. And there's something that I'm working on, cooking up little training for people in the masterclass, the mastermind, about how you can make little mini memory palaces and get things like this involved. So it's really incredible. It's a lot of fun, and it's just a matter of doing and bringing art into your life and being creative and allowing this to create access to memories that you would never raise if you weren't in practice. And, you know, another shout out here to Jonathan Rivera with the podcast Mogul. I keep thinking I'm going to make a mistake and call him Jonathan Levy because of my great friend Jonathan Levy, but yeah, this is what he's talking about in this issue, and just perfect the way that he put it out, the story that he raised, and some tragedy in there and so forth. A lot of fun. And, you know, that's the cool thing is when you engage in other people's memory and the wisdom that they earned from it, which is something he's talking about. Well, you not only can avoid a lot of mistakes, but you can find a lot of shortcuts to getting great results. And so that's what my live webinar coming up next week that I want you to register for is all about, /data, magneticmemorymethod.com/data. You'll get all the registration info there. I'm giving away a free book, free audiobook, free ebook, and can't wait to give it to you because it's going to really, really help you keep your mind sharp, keep your mind really, really sharp, and absolutely fantastic. You know, you want to think about your brain kind of like Batman more than Superman. I really think this is an important thing to think about, because your memory and everything that you can do with it is something that is, well, actually it's kind of like being Batman and Superman at the same time, because you're born with superpowers. Memory is a superpower. I mean, you don't have to do anything to get it. It's given to you by virtue of being born. But the tools of memory are kind of like Batman, where if you want to go out and win the battles and so forth, well, you gotta invent your own utility belt in a way. How do you invent your own utility belt? Well, you go out and you look at all the other utility belts out there and you pattern yours based on them. And that's really what I like to do with memory palaces. I mean, I didn't invent the memory palace. I don't think Simonides of Kos invented the memory palace either, although we attributed that to him, which if you read the memory code, you're going to notice that it's actually a lot older than the ancient Greek tradition as well. But we absolutely have this wonderful, wonderful memory by virtue of birth, and we have the ability to go out and equip ourselves with the tool belt. And, you know, I think that this comment here that came in, we have from Corpus, like a cyborg. Well, if you mean that Batman and the Batman-Superman complex, yeah, I guess that's cyborg. We'll say more what you mean, if you mean more than that. Very cool idea, that's for sure. So anyway, this is a neat little experiment, a lot of fun to put together a memory palace and really think about this. Just this one room. Just spend some time with one room. One room. What could possibly go wrong with doing that? And then thinking about all the thoughts that come to mind. And yeah, so if you want to practice, you got to get in there and practice and build your own tools. And, you know, live the life you want to remember. Live the life as if, you know, they were going to build a bat signal, and when they wanted to remember you, not only would they shoot up the bat signal and have feelings of hope and so forth, but they would remember what Batman really is all about, is that anybody could be Batman. Anybody could be Batman. Live your life in such a way that people not only know that they could also reproduce it, but they would want to reproduce it to represent ability and accomplishment and going out and doing the right thing even when the right thing isn't always clear. And that's what more could anybody ask for you? What more could anybody truly ask for you? It's just that simple. That simple. And make memory palaces, elicit your spatial memory, elicit your biographical, autobiographical memory, as it's called in the science, and you know, make sure you don't go in fear of triggering memories that you might not want to have, because memories that you might not want to have are actually an opportunity to think more about what it is that you are, you know, holding on to, that maybe you could let go, maybe you could frame, maybe you could get past. And that's some of the things that that can come up when you are absolutely engaged in your memory as the ultimate asset, because there's nothing that ever went wrong. It's not in the now. It happened then, but it's not now. And whatever it is, and this is things that I've had to learn, we've talked about before on this YouTube live channel, about how to use your memory, how to use a memory palace to cure yourself. And if you remember cure, C-U-R-E, it's create memory palaces, use memory palaces, review what you put in memory palaces, and then explain both the material that you put in your memory palaces and how you did it to other people, so they can get also some really, really powerful and great results. And that's just a great thing that you can do for humanity. And only you can do it. You're the only one who can do it. And that's a really, really exciting thing. It's a really, really exciting and powerful and wonderful thing. So let's look in here on another email I got here from Julia. Anthony, you're an inspiration. Never forget that. And yes, that video with you and Jonathan in Israel, your gifted insights are making my memory journey through the Russian language a joy. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, Julia. From the grocery list in Russian that makes me enjoy grocery shopping, to all the words pegged in mnemonics that I couldn't forget if I tried, to the Loki method I remember my verb conjugations by, to the grammar that I love, instead of detesting, because your insights make the journey a joy. Yeah, you know, you don't have to detest learning, Julia, and I'm so glad that you found your way away from detesting language learning through the magnetic memory method, and I appreciate you letting me know. She says, some people spend their whole lives just bettering themselves. Then there are people like you who take as many people with them as they can. You're a gentleman and a scholar, a good doctor, Anthony Metivier. Well, thank you, Julia. I really appreciate those kind words. And, you know, it's so nice when I hear the kind words, but more importantly, when I hear that people are using these techniques that I teach, and the fact that you say that you have stopped detesting remembering verb conjugations is great. Because I was talking again with this great conversation I had tonight with John McFedrin, and he was talking about how that after he encountered the magnetic memory method, and I met John because of the magnetic memory method, we just happened to both be living in Berlin, and it's just so wonderful that he reached out to me because he was a student in the magnetic memory method, and it's just like, oh wow, he'd read my book and got a video course and reached out to me. He's like, yeah, I heard you know, I noticed you like heavy metal. I play heavy metal, and he showed me his First in Charge, firstincharge.com. You got to go and check out his music. I hope I remember that URL, right, John? Let's see. That would be really embarrassing. But you know, that's the thing with memory. The memory experts and the memory champions and so forth, we're not perfect. If we don't use the memory tools, we don't remember. But anyway, yes, it's firstincharge.com. You've got to check out John's stuff. He's doing really interesting exploratory, preparatory work with memorizing guitar music and music in general. And wow, man, his thoughts are so deep into it. If you haven't heard my podcast episode with him so far, then you want to look that up. And, you know, he's just a great guy to listen to and speak to. And he was just talking, the joy that he expresses is similar to what Julia is saying in this email here. And he said it was the groundwork, you know? It's like, yeah, you can make a lot of mistakes with different grammar rules and get away with it. People will still understand what the heck it is that you're talking about. But if you don't get the tenses, then it's just, you know, you're kind of screwed in some way. And one of the reasons why the people don't get it is because they don't have memory techniques. And so he used the memory techniques. He took what I was teaching and he just ran with it. And he did exactly what I say, right? And I actually don't know if he found me first or other memory techniques first, but he didn't, you know, just read one memory guy and take one memory course. He really invested in getting it from multiple angles. And you know, I just happened to live around the corner, so we were jamming about it and so forth. But I remember even before we met, he put into all this groundwork into it, and he was just explaining it to me left, right, and center, and you could just tell, like, it really, really got into his brain, and now he's adapting it and going out and doing stuff with music, and he's doing exactly what you need to do, what I call cure. Create memory palaces, use memory palaces, rehearse what you put in the memory palaces, and then explain it to others. Explain everything, and you know, he's gonna change the world with music. I know it. Music memory. I don't have all the time in the world to do every topic under the sun, so you know, it's great. And the conversations that we've had with music, even though I'm a musician and I know a great deal about music and so forth, it's just incredible what he knows and his passion. And you know, we were on Skype together and he just pulls out the guitar and he's like, yeah, and then he and starts explaining it and the mnemonics and how he, it's just beautiful. It's beautiful, the excitement that happens. So I really appreciate that email from Julia. I really appreciate all the wonderful stories of success that people send in. And I just want to say, you know, it's just a big blessing to have had so much success that I'm celebrating 5 years of doing this full time. Magus is here. Well, hello. You say, I hope I didn't miss too much. Well, you missed a fair amount. I mean, we've gone through quite a few topics, and one thing that you probably missed is that /data, D-A-T-A. Go there, magneticmemorymethod.com/data. I'm holding a free webinar. If you want a free book, free audiobook, free ebook, then come be registered and show up, because we're going to have a great time. I'm going to be talking about the digital amnesia takedown. What does that mean? Well, digital amnesia is real. It's a real problem, and we need to solve it. And the way we solve it is we learn memory techniques. I'm going to teach you 3 ways to learn anything faster. And you're going to really, really learn faster. Major says, going there now. Thanks. Yep, get registered. All the details are there. The time, we still have some time to get on there, but not that much. So make sure that you're in there and go to magneticmemorymethod.com/data. Thanks as always for all your thumbs up. And thanks for being here and thanks for engaging. Love to hear your questions, comments, and you know, emails like what Julia sent, stories like from John McFedrin, and just endless stories. Endless stories. I love them. I never seem to run out of them, and that's because people who come to this when they come to the art of memory and they really sit down and they get it done, then it works incredibly well. Except for it works is kind of a wrong way to put it, because memory techniques don't work. They're not a thing that can work. You work the techniques. That's really how it works. You do it because your mind does it anyway. Your mind uses spatial memory all the time anyway, unless heaven forbid you have a brain lesion or a brain trauma. Your mind uses all these tools anyway. You just got to learn how to use them, then show up to them. Show up to the art of memory. The art of memory will never let you down. It'll never let you down. Never. It's never let me down, and it'll never let you down either, because there's no mistakes with memory. There are no mistakes with memory. Same thing with magic. When I do my magic tricks for people, I always tell them, you see something with the cards or whatever, there are no mistakes with cards. There just can't be. There's no mistakes in magic. And that's the beautiful thing. So one of the great things that memory can do for you is that it enables you, it allows you to get to that point of confidence where you're just not making mistakes. And I'll never forget, I was sick in university. I was sick like you wouldn't believe, with depression and all kinds of confidence problems and so forth. And when I started to find these techniques, I'll never forget sitting in this exam, Professor Whitaker's exam. It was romantic poetry and literature, like novels and theater, plays, really hard stuff. And I studied as well as I could, and I just went, and I was so sick. I was on lithium at the time, and I was just shaking so bad, shaking. And I did all that I could, and he threw a curveball on that exam, and oh man, it was just, why did he pick that one thing that I didn't get around to reading? I don't know, but I had still, even in those early days, using memory techniques and showing up to the art of memory, it served me so well, because what I wrote there is I said, no, I haven't read Cain by Lord Byron, but here's what I did read, and here's how I think it connects to Byron as such. And then I just started to write, and I did all that I could, and I still came out of that course with an A, right? So memory will never fail you. And you know what? Sometimes you'll take an exam and someone will try and knock you down, or they won't see the value in what you've been able to do. There's procedures for that. You can go to the university administration and maybe ask them to have your final thing reconsidered or so forth. And that's certainly been something I've seen happen in universities, and it's totally legit, because professors make mistakes too. And you know, this professor was really nice at the end of the day. He compensated for that condition that I had at the time as well as he could, but there was still this real heavy curveball on that exam that I wasn't expecting, but it was a great opportunity to just boulder on and do what I could, and my memory was just on it. It was on it, and it really brought out so many things that still warranted a pass. It still warranted the A, and I was able to maintain being on, you know, the best of the best list there, and all that stuff that's so important when you're in university, the dean's list, and you know, making sure you graduate with honors instead of just normal honors, and yada, all that stuff. I mean, years later, it's not all that important, but it sure was then. I mean, you're investing so much time and energy into your studies, and you want your memory to work for you. Show up to the art of memory, and it will. And you'll at least, no matter what happens, you'll at least know that you did your best, and you were able to demonstrate your knowledge. And well, I had another thing too. I remember one time with science, and they were multiple choice questions, history of science in that particular course. And multiple choice questions are really tough, because the logic of them is not always right, and it can be very counterintuitive. And they say, yeah, go with your gut sometimes. I don't know. They got all kinds of advice. Often, I like that movie, The Devil's Advocate, where Al Pacino says, advice is the worst vice, right? You've got to really be careful with multiple choice, because it can be so counterintuitive, and you can get things wrong, even though you were right, just because of the wording of the question or the wording of the potential answers. And I just wrote there that I'm not putting an answer here because this isn't correctly worded. There's no way to answer this properly, because that the language isn't clear enough. And I was able to explain that, and I was able to get the point, and I did it a couple of times on that exam. So when you remember stuff and it's not worded correctly, just point it out. Point it out to the examiner. You can go in the exam often and talk to the examiner, but you can also just write it out. Put an arrow, please turn over, and these days, if you're allowed to have a cell phone open, and we didn't have that then, but you could take a picture of it and take a picture of your note and back yourself up and just say, this is not right. This is not right. I don't want to lose a point on this because this is not worded right. This is not correct language. You can win. Your memory will never let you down. So that's very, very important to always remember that your memory will never let you down. And yeah, so that's super important. Here's another email I got. Hi Anthony, I watched the YouTube video with yourself and Jenny Gorman. Jenny's name is familiar, as is her face, and I'm sure that I've come across her from time to time as far as personal development is concerned. Yeah, if you haven't heard that episode with Jenny Gorman on memory loss, definitely listen to that. It was a previous YouTube live as well, so if you prefer video, you can watch us jamming, and we had people all over the world participating with her story about memory loss. And your discussion regarding heavy metals, this is from Phil, was most informative, and I intend to pursue the matter further with my neurologist, and as luck would have it, my son's father-in-law, who happens to be a very eminent dentist in the Northern Territory. Okay, cool. I once again thank you and also Jenny for the information presented, and look forward to exploring more of the articles on your site. Well, thank you very much. I mean, magneticmemorymethod.com, if you're interested in memory, is the place to be. And of course, it's worth mentioning data, /data, magneticmemorymethod.com/data. We are doing a live webinar. It's free. You're going to get a free book, free audiobook, free ebook. Just got to go and register at magneticmemorymethod.com/data. We're going to talk all about this in an actual training, real training, where you're going to discover how to take digital amnesia down, learn anything 3 times faster. And you really can. You can speed up how you learn, and you can absolutely 100% have the most amazing memory that you want. It's so easy. It's so easy, and I've devoted my life for 5 years now just to helping people figure this out, get it sorted. And you can. I get emails from people every single day who got it figured out, and all they did was they just came to the art of memory, and they let their own memory, their operating memory, the memory they have right now, they let that memory guide them in improving it. Because that's ultimately how this all works, is I show you to elicit what's already in your brain right now, just optimize the process, and tap into resources from your own life that you don't even know you have. And then bring some order to it. Learn how to attach everything so that you can recall whatever it is you want to recall, whenever it is you want to recall it, and then bang presto, you have created new knowledge in your life that leads to mastery, so that you're able to do more, achieve more things faster, with greater confidence, with greater ease, with total relaxation, total wonderful feelings about everything. And you're strengthening your memory every single day, just as I'm strengthening my memory now. And as I strengthen my memory now, I just enjoy memory more and more. Every minute that goes by, I think about memory and use my memory and associate with my memory. And today with Jeff, I wasn't doing it in a show-off way, but I was like, hey, we were at this meeting, because we had been at a meeting the day before, and I was like, yeah, I met this guy named Stuart, and then he mentioned his name, his son was Oliver. So what did I do? I associated a picture with him so I could remember that forever. And he said his wife's name, or his partner, I don't know if they're married, but I assume the mother of this Oliver was Selena. So boom, come up with an image. I won't forget these things. I think that's really cool. I mean, Jeff was impressed that I remembered all these names, and yeah, it's not just about impressing people. It's about, that's cool. I mean, we should not deny our ego need to be impressive, not at all. But that's not the point. The real point is that you're using this natural gift that you were given, like Superman. When Superman was born, he has some powers that under Earth's sun or whatever. When he gets to Earth, let's say, but it's inborn. It's part of his birth. He has these superpowers, but you also have the Batman element, so you can figure things out, how to optimize, how to battle against this terrible thing, forgetfulness, except for it's not so terrible, is it? It's semi-evil. The semi-evil Dr. Forget. You know? There's a good side to being able to forget, or better said, let go, to not have memory plague you all the time. And I had bad memory plaguing me a lot of the time, and I was able to let it go. And one of the ways I was able to learn how to let it go was through the art of memory. So the art of memory never lets you down. Never lets you down, and it never will let you down. It can't let you down if you know how to use it. If you study it, if you practice it, if you elicit things through acts of creativity, and you can practice creativity externally. That's why I created the Creativity Kickstarter. A lot of people have really enjoyed this. I love when people send me pictures from the Creativity Kickstarter. If you go to magneticmemorymethod.com/CK, you can see some of the pictures that people have created. magneticmemorymethod.com/CK. It'll take you right to where you can grab a copy on Amazon, and you'll see the pictures that some people have posted there. A lot of people, they don't want to post it on Amazon. That's fine. They send it to me. I enjoy both. It's a lot of fun. I think ultimately, if we want to be good citizens in the world, we got to get out there and share things. So that's cool. Share with one, share with all. The point is to, like I say, cure. Create memory palaces. That's the C. U, use memory palaces. R, review, rehearse. Use recall rehearsal if you're using the magnetic memory method to review what's in the memory palaces, and then explain. That's the cure. That's the cure to forgetfulness. You never have to suffer forgetfulness again. It's just that easy, and it's so much fun. So, yeah. If you want to be on the free webinar with me, get a free book. The free book is called How to Keep Your Mind Sharp, even if you're 90. Go to magneticmemorymethod.com/data. I'm giving it to you as an ebook and as an audiobook. Professionally read, not by me, but by a professional actor. It's kind of fun, kind of funky, kind of cool. Got an email coming in here, let me see. All right. Oh, look at this. Mike Ping says, I've read your clear explanation on the memory palace and find it fascinating. I will fill up the worksheets. Thanks so much, Anthony. Well, thank you, Mike. And really appreciate you letting me know, taking a moment. And use these resources. I put them out there for a reason. They're there to be used. Don't save data for later. I mean, save your spot on my free webinar by going to magneticmemorymethod.com/data, D-A-T-A. But don't save the information for later. Use it right away. Information that isn't put into use fast risks never being used. Well, that's not cool. We don't want that. We want, actually, to create skills that we can use for the rest of our lives. And this is amazing. It's amazing. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. You can use that superpower that you're born with, memory, and then add your Batman utility belt so that you're able to have an amazing memory for the rest of your life, and that you don't have to suffer these traumas that happen. And you know what? There is no scientific proof that we have, or evidence really, that using memory techniques is going to stop dementia or Alzheimer's. But I'll tell you the one thing about it that is absolutely true, is that if you are becoming a person of wisdom, you're going to have such a great life that you'll, even if that were to happen to you, or brain trauma, you slip and crack your head and you just become a different person because of this, or you get a brain tumor or whatever, because you spent your life developing your memory, which means developing your knowledge, which means becoming a better person, then even if those terrible things were to happen to you, you're still better off than if you didn't. And you'll have a stronger network of people around you to remember you, so that you really have created a bat signal in the world. And people will look to your memory. They'll look to your memory for guidance, even if you're no longer around. So learn memory techniques. It's the cure for everything. It really is. C-U-R-E. Create memory palaces. Use memory palaces. Rehearse what you put in them so they get into long-term memory. And then explain. Explain to yourself, explain to others. Make the world a better place. We can do that all together. We can do it one person at a time, making memory palaces left, right, and center. I think it's the foundation of everything. So that is really amazing. I'm not sure what I'm going to do to polish this memory palace off, but I think this is looking pretty good for a first time. First memory palace. I do not think that I want to do them in pastel anymore, though. I might try again. You know, that's the problem. I'll be the first to tell you. I'll be the first in line to make this very, very clear. I've seen it 1,000 times till Sunday. People give up the first time. They give up the first time. 99% of people, if not 99.9% of people, they give up the first time. It didn't work. Never do it again. So I actually need to correct that. Just because I don't feel right now that this pastel is working. I like pastel. Maybe I just got to change things up a bit. Maybe there's a way for me to, smudge in a little bit. I don't know. Figure it out. Because it's not doing exactly what I want it to do, but that doesn't mean I give up on it. Same thing with your memory. Oh, well, instead of just giving up, that didn't work for me. My brain is different. Instead of doing that, come back to it. Come back to it. Maybe you're just having a bad day. A lot of people, they're quick to blame the techniques, and they don't think about the context. So I'm thinking about context all the time, and that's why I like to draw memory palaces, because it elicits other memories. Makes other memories come to the front that wouldn't have come otherwise. Wouldn't have come otherwise. That's why I'm kind of glad, well, really glad actually, that I started doing these YouTube lives, because I started to remember things that I wasn't remembering when I was doing my podcast. I mean, I was doing podcast and remembering things, but I wasn't coming up with some of the memories that I've been coming up with since doing these YouTube lives. And just getting on here live today and just thinking about this classroom from back when I was a kid and the sunshine. I'm letting the sun really dominate this one, because that is one of my favorite memories of going to school. Going to school in the spring and in the fall, you would have this effect as well. Sun coming up over the mountains and lighting the moisture on the grass, the dew, and really sparkling. Everything so sparkly, and just a beautiful memory. And you'd see your footsteps in the dew, and then I can think, oh, the field. How can I make a memory palace out of that field? What were the parts of the field? And then I think of some of my friends, Bobby and Kirsten and Clayton, and so many people, so many faces come, and then I start to think about the faces, and then I remember certain things. Oh man, so many memories just come rushing back, and it's due to just getting in there and doing, not saving it for later. I had this idea. Oh, I'm gonna do this, and I thought, and then I thought, no. When you have a new idea, which is essentially data, and you have an idea, go and implement it on it. Go and implement it on it immediately, because then you'll really get a feel for it, and you'll see it in the world, and it's an amazing thing to do. And if you want some more data that you can implement immediately, make sure you're on my free webinar. It's coming up soon, so you should be registered. There's only space for so many people, and I don't want you to miss out. So go to magneticmemorymethod.com/data, DATA, and you will learn some amazing things. We're doing a digital amnesia takedown. Can't wait to have you there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm getting this stuff all over the place, so that's another thing. But you know what? That's why I say so many people give up the first time, but I don't want to give up the first time. I'm going to try this again with pastel. I'm going to try it with paint also. But now I'm learning. I'm learning about how this can be done better the next time. And I think I'm going to stick with this elementary school. Maybe do a whole series. Maybe by the end I'll be a half-decent artist, right? Half-decent artist of memory palaces. Could you imagine what that would be like? To actually make representations of memory palaces. Well, that would be an amazing career, wouldn't it? I remember we were in Helsinki on the honeymoon, April and I. And we went to an art gallery, and there was someone who had just done floor plans. A nice exhibition just of their floor plans. And I thought, wow, that's amazing, that's amazing. And interviewed the artist, and I mean, she was incredible, and she heard about my career and what I do, and she said, "Oh, you're a memory artist. You're a memory artist." And I said, "Yeah, that's pretty much true. It is true. You know, everybody is. Everybody's a memory artist. It's just a matter of how consciously you use the tools. I use the tools very, very consciously. I've become so aware of them, and it's a lot of fun making sure that as many other people in the world come to them." Oh, can you hear that? There's like a wolf. Is that a wolf? Oh, let me know. Can you hear that? That's amazing. I didn't know there were wolves. Woo! Arr! 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 So much fun. The world. Yeah! The world brings so much interesting stuff all the time. It's a constant flow of interesting things to remember, and then to think about. Because then you could instantly start to do a memory exercise, like, oh, what does that remind me of? And then I think about Nicolas Cage, some movie where he's doing a werewolf thing, I believe, and then I think about Wolf. Was it called Wolf with Sharon Stone and Jack Nicholson? Then I start thinking, hey, are there memory palaces in there? And heck yeah, there are memory palaces in that movie. Wow, I mean, not literally, it's not about memory palaces, but I could make a memory palace out of one particular area in that movie just now, instantly. It's done. It's done. It's now added to the repertoire. People ask all the time, yeah, you got hundreds of memory palaces. How is that possible? Just think, some kid out on the street starts howling like a wolf. Already, I can't think of what that Nicolas Cage movie was. I see him howling like a wolf somehow, but then I think about Jack Nicholson and Sharon Stone in that movie. New memory palace right there. It's just that fast. It just happens that fast if you keep making memory palaces. And then you got to use it, right? So I got to think, oh, well, what am I going to use that for? This I'll be using for some Chinese vocabulary, I'm pretty sure. Then I'll add some phrases. And let's think about these doors here. I think these doors are going to be really useful in this memory palace. So I'll give them a color. Yeah, a little bit of color there. And that's right. Little bit of color. And that's going to help get it into memory even more. That's right. Lots of fun. Yeah. I like memory palaces. And I think we're just about ready to call it a wrap. I guess I suppose you're supposed to sign your memory palaces when you're done, right? Probably a good idea. I'm not sure that this is totally done yet, but it's getting there. Then maybe we sign it. Say goodnight. Had a really fun time with y'all. I'm testing different times on this YouTube Live and seeing who shows up, seeing what kinds of interaction that they bring. See, this one's had lots of interaction, lots of thumbs up. Thanks for that. I'm not really all that concerned about how many thumbs up I get, but I think that it's a nice thing and lets me know that you're alive and breathing. I'm just gonna get a little blue there, I think. I think that would be nice. Just to indicate the corners. And could work on this for a long time, actually. But that's not my intention. I don't want you guys to get the impression that memory palaces take a long time, because they don't. Corpus says registered. All right, if you're just hopping on the call and you want to be on my free webinar, go to magneticmemorymethod.com/data. Corpus is on. I'll be able to check later, see how many of y'all registered up. You know, it's for your benefit. If it's not for you, no problem. But you know, you should be registered anyway, because you won't get notified of the replay if you're not registered. So if it worked, that link is actually already down below this video, and I'd just be super delighted if you join me, or at least get registered so you can have a chance at the replay. But if you miss the replay, then of course that's gonna disappear as well. So make sure that you're registered so that you get it, and that's gonna be great, because it's all about the digital amnesia takedown. It's at magneticmemorymethod.com/data, D-A-T-A, and really, 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 really useful. to have these techniques in your life. Really useful so that you understand just how much of a connection your life has with memory and how to get the value out of each and every minute of your life. Because if you don't use your memory, you will lose it, it will atrophy, it will go away. And let's see here now. How are we going to sign? How are we going to sign my first memory palace? I think I'm missing out here a little bit too much, but not going to get finicky. This ain't going to go in an art gallery. This isn't going to go in an international freight container to anybody. Unless there's some crazy, wild, whatever, art collector out there who's going to make me an offer I can't refuse. Well, I'll tell you what. If you like this memory palace, if you'd like to support this work, then be the first person that goes over to magneticmemorymethod.com/store, join the masterclass, and I'll send it to you. How's that? Send me an email. You are the first person to go and join up, and I will send you this memory palace, which I must admit is not that great. But you know what? If I practice, if I put in the time, I'll be very good at making beautiful art out of the places in my life. And I'll just have to explore what it means to represent things. Remember, if you weren't here on the full call, I'm not even right-handed, I'm left-handed, but I'm doing this to open up different parts of my brain and to really allow my brain to start feeling what it's like to represent shapes. It's like when I do card tricks and stuff, sometimes I practice the card tricks with the opposite hand in order to elicit different parts of the brain, and you begin to understand things differently. It's a really powerful, powerful, powerful exercise. Powerful exercise. Anyway, if anybody wants this, those are the conditions by which to get it. And we'll take a nice little picture of it, stick it up somewhere on the internet. Gonna be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. A lot of fun, a lot of fun. Just get in and be creative. There's nothing wrong with being creative. I'm not sure there's anything wrong with not being creative, but you know, be creative. It's so good for your brain, it's so good for the world, because you're more calm, you're more relaxed, and your memory improves when you connect creativity to memory. And I'd really, really love to know from you what your journey through life is like when you've got the memory connection that I'm talking about on your side, so that you're able to learn anything faster, as fast as you want. That is what I really, really think is totally 100% going to change your life if you're not already doing it. And I know a lot of people are. I've shared with you today a bunch of stories and emails from people about the great things that are happening in their lives. Just that whole thing with Russian and, you know, getting over the fear and the hatred of conjugations and so forth. Wouldn't that be just the nicest thing if you could just stop hating a certain task, especially in language learning, which is so beautiful, so much fun. Sure, it's a challenge. Sure, it takes energy. Sure, it takes effort, but kissing takes effort. Eating chocolate takes effort. Everything worth doing takes effort. So do the things that are worth doing and just get over that. It's just your mind. It's just ideas that are coming in and, oh, not this again. Oh, that's too much effort. Well, that's self-hypnosis is what that is. It's not too much effort. It's more effort to talk to yourself out of doing the right thing than it is to just get in there and do it. Get it done. Yeah, sure, it's a daily struggle sometimes. But if you put some nice positive habits into play, and you stick with those habits, what you're going to find is that it gets easier and easier and easier, and even addictive. And then you start craving the positive habits. And things just don't feel right if you're not doing the positive things. Like when I can't go to the gym because I got too much stuff going on, I crave the gym. Crazy. I go to the gym to really beat the living daylights out of my muscles, you know, like really, really challenge myself. It's not easy, but I'm yet somehow, I have a healthy relationship with this, and it's addictive. It really is. And I've developed so much. I've saved my life, really. I got to such a bad point with my health that it wasn't good. I wasn't even able to walk. But I rebuilt all that. I do pull-ups, weighted chin-ups. Holy cow. Deadlifts like it's nothing. I deadlift more than my own body weight. Can't even believe it. I'm actually getting close to getting to double my body weight. Deadlifts. I'll be there soon enough. No rush. The point is consistent effort, consistently applied in order to accomplish something that I want to get accomplished. And all I got to do is show up. Same thing with memory. Art of memory. Art of memory rule 101 is show up. Show up, learn, and do. I like to call it the cure for forgetfulness. CURE. Create memory palaces, use memory palaces, review, use recall rehearsal for what you got in the memory palaces, and then explain. Simple. Simple, simple, simple. There is nothing difficult about it. No ego, no enemy. No ego, no difficulty. It's just really that simple. It is that simple. Oh, I think that looks kind of cool. If I fuzz out a little bit, these borders. Now, isn't that a nice metaphor for forgetfulness? Fuzzy borders. All right, I'm starting to like this. This material here, pastels, a little bit more. Now I can see a bit more potential, especially in the context of a memory palace. Oh, I've enjoyed revisiting this room from my childhood. I spent so much time in this room. It's interesting how much that I can remember about the things that happened there, the things that I learned. And yet it's hard to think of any single day that any of that stuff happened on. Oh, now I remember the name of the principal of the school, Mr. Redikoff at that time. How interesting. I didn't remember his name before until just now. I didn't even think about him. And that's the point. That's the point of getting in and drawing memory palaces. And again, it doesn't have to be this epic production where you're painting them or pastel drawing them, coloring and coloring, but if you want to get into it deeper and deeper and deeper, this is a strategy. This is a strategy because it allows you to elicit all the things that just won't come up if they won't come up. And this little, what I'm so fascinated about with right now is this little border blur, because it's just a nice, it's kind of a nice metaphor for how we forget. And how that we then remember, and we can clear up those borders. We could just sharpen them up a little bit by thinking, who was the principal? Oh, that's who it was. And if not, well, come back to it later. Maybe that person will come. Oh, no, I don't like that. I want that to be yellow again. Let's get it yellow. Very good. But I still want it to have this little hint of blue that it had there, because that blue to me represents the corner. Oh yeah, there we go. Let's get some blue back in there. Maybe fuzz it in a bit. Yeah. All right, so I'm learning techniques here. One of my plans is to study color wheel, and really want to actually make a shout out to Joey, who's helping me with the magnetic memory method right now, teaching me a little bit, well, not explicitly teaching me a little bit about color, but it's been helping out with some color things in a different way. Very interesting. What has been coming out of his color contributions to help make magnetic memory method itself more memorable. So this is starting to really look nice. I kind of actually like this. Heck, I might buy it from myself. I might buy it from myself and put it up on my own wall. Now, wouldn't that be interesting? I don't know if my wife will let me do that. Maybe I should do this out on the street. Paint or pastel memory palaces on the street. Just talk to people about memory on the street. Wouldn't that be interesting? See what happens. You never know. Could be a cool thing. It would definitely be something memorable. People are busy though. They walk past. They don't hear what you're saying. Be like one of those crazy preachers. Oh yeah, that's a cool effect. Nice. Yep. Point is to be creative, guys. Get in there. Use your creativity. Everybody has it. I mean, I actually kind of like this. I kind of like it. I kind of like it more how it looks on the screen than I do how it looks in reality. So, since that we are living in this weird reality where we have multiple levels of reality, I think I'll take a picture of how that it looks on the screen. That's kind of fun. Look at this. Now, oh look, this mystery that no one has solved yet, the riddle that I posed a couple sessions ago that no one has solved yet, is getting even closer to being so obvious, because if you can name that painting that I was referring to, where the painter has a V very prominently in his name, and the painting has an N very prominently in his name, well then I got a very special prize for you. This is not this painting, but I'm waiting for someone to solve that riddle, and I'm going to keep mentioning it until someone solves that riddle, because I think that riddles are fun, and it's an amazing painting that I'm referring to, and I just love for somebody to figure it out. I like riddles. Riddles are cool. Riddles really stretch the brain and get you to think, and even if you can't solve it, at least you're thinking. At least you're eliciting parts of your brain for a couple seconds. Of course, we have the problem with crossword puzzles in that they often just train the brain a little bit of learned helplessness. That's not cool. But I can see I'm going to have to practice. I'm going to have to practice this with pastels more, and that's a beautiful and exciting thing. But I can see potential for this. I can see possibility, and I can see a lot of fun emerging from it. You know, guys, if you have questions about your memory practice, or you have comments, things you want to share, hop on or come and join me on my upcoming webinar at magneticmemorymethod.com/data, D-A-T-A. Love to have you there. I'm going to be talking about how to get rid of digital amnesia, and I'd love if you go listen to the most recent podcast as of recording this at magneticmemorymethod.com. It's all about why brain implants probably wouldn't be very cool. I think you're really going to love it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. Am I just being a bit silly? Am I being a bit extreme? Or do you think that my call for digital amnesia to stop through digital fasting as a real substantial way of reducing its nefarious effects on our brain? Or am I just getting a little bit crazy? Getting worried unnecessarily and everything will be okay. I'd really like to know what you think. And that's over on the new podcast that I just released. Really excited about that episode. I never would have thought to ever tweet to Elon Musk before, until that one. I tweeted it to Sam Harris as well, because he has a lot of things to say about artificial intelligence. I'd love to know from you guys if you are a fan of Sam Harris. I think it's probably the most important podcast in the world right now, and I'd love to know if you agree. I know he's not for everybody. Nobody is for everybody. I don't think they really need to be for everybody. I don't think anybody needs to be for everybody. That just wouldn't do much, really. There's got to be things we don't like in order for us to... Well, actually, you know what? We can like a lot more than we do. We can chill out. Just practice meditation, and you can stop judging things. Stop thinking about things too much. Just get down, focus on what it is you want to have happen in your life, and make it happen. That is an option. You don't have to have opinions about things. That creates energy, negative energy that really gets in the way of your memory, because then you're not paying attention to the present moment. And there's nothing worse than when you wake up, that moment when you wake up, oh, you're getting close, you're getting close, you're getting close, you're getting close. Major guesses, aren't we talking of Vermeer's The Milkmaid? You're close, but there's no letter N in The Milkmaid. I don't know Dutch yet, but I'm guessing it would be something like Milch, Mädchen, or something like that. I don't know. I don't know Dutch. That would be like German, but Vermeer is not a bad guess, but it's not Vermeer, and it's not that painting. But historically, yeah, keep thinking, keep thinking. Good guess, good guess. But one of the reasons why Vermeer is so close is because there are similar, just look at this, especially when I do this. Oh, that's, you know, there's no, oh, should I give a hint or shouldn't I? I got an opportunity here to give a hint. I'm not going to give a hint. It's fun to give a hint, but then it just gives it away. And it's not much of a treasure hunt anymore. We'll see how long it goes. There are some hidden treasures that take years and years to find, and some will never be found. And if this is one of them, well, then so be it. So be it. I never read a law in a law book that said treasure had to be found. Just whoever hid the treasure is the one who determines how it's distributed once it's found. Once it's found. Once it's found. And you know, the biggest treasure of all, and it's the point I really want everybody to understand, it's the biggest treasure of all is in your mind. And if you use your mind and you use your memory, everything gets better. Everything gets better. But Vermeer, well, it is a good guess, even if you heard M. Sorry, I meant N. N as in, ooh, I'm tempted to give away a clue. N as in Nicole. So that's that. Anyway, guys, I thought that was a lot of fun. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this again because I really enjoyed creating this memory palace with you. Had some interesting points to raise. You know, if you guys don't feel like participating, I got a gazillion emails to read. No end. No end. And I do sure appreciate, though, when you all participate. Actually, I think I'm going to do another thing here. I'm gonna experiment. Maybe put a little bit of white back in. See what that does. I think that's kind of interesting. How does that look on there? Nah, it doesn't really add anything, does it? Well, maybe if it's frosted a little bit. It certainly doesn't have anything to do with the memory palace itself. I think we're gonna get rid of that. The point here is just to explore and see what the memory palace elicits. If you joined late, you want to hear some thoughts that came up while I was doing this, you can always watch the replay, pick up some of the points. But it was sure fun hanging out, making a memory palace. And I think since I'm working towards artistry, I might as well do the artist thing. I'll sign it. I'm left-handed normally, so I'm not sure how my signature will come out. I feel like I want to sign it over here, but I guess, well, they sign it all over the place, don't they? I don't think there's any law about it. I feel like signing it over here. There we go. Memory Palace. The first pastel memory palace probably in the world. Here with you all on Magnetic Memory Method Live. And just one last time here, I'm going to have this free live webinar, magneticmemorymethod.com/data. Make sure you're registered so you can be there. Can't wait to see you. We're going to talk about eliminating digital amnesia from our lives. That's magneticmemorymethod.com/data. Free ebook, free audiobook version of the ebook, and I can't wait to deliver it for you. And really enjoy all the emails I receive and all the memory palaces I receive from you guys. And don't, again, never get the impression that it has to take that long, because this is just an artistic development project, eliciting memory project, and just enjoying thinking about one room for a while and all the ideas that it brings. And I didn't say every single idea that was coming out on this call, but a lot of ideas were coming out, and I should have said more of them, but you can't, you don't need to spill it all out. There's something in biology called turgor pressure that makes the plant, the leaves, stiff. And often what we don't say is just as important as what we do say. And what really matters at the end of the day is what you do with what you learn. Not so much what you say sometimes with what you learn, but what you do with it, and how that helps others. Because everybody's connected somehow. Whether you accept the scientific explanation or you do some other thing, this is a dying star. We all come from the same dust. And we absolutely are all connected. So you have the opportunity to contribute to the world in such a way that that world gets better for everybody involved. And I think the finest path to do that is through the use of your memory, making your memory the best thing that it can be. And it can be as simple as just becoming more creative and allowing your creativity to come through. And so, simple. But making an actual memory palace for practical use, I really do recommend that you draw them. And I'll be talking more about how to do that and why on the next upcoming webinar, which is free. Get a free ebook, free audiobook at /data. That's magneticmemorymethod.com/data. And really look forward to those of you who can attend. There are limited seats, so make sure that you're registered. You won't get the replay if you aren't, and the replay will be a limited time, as will the free ebook and the free audiobook that you can download just for being on there. So thank you again for being here. Go and get registered on magneticmemorymethod.com/data, DATA, and thank you for joining me for making this memory palace. Thanks for all the likes, thanks for the engagement, and if you're watching this anytime other than the live, put your comments down below and share with me your stories. And if you want to send over a memory palace, well, that's a great option too. I love seeing them. All right, guys, thanks for being here. Love this time that we had together. Go out, cure yourself, as we talked about on this call, CURE, and cure others. It's a great thing to do, and makes the world a better place. And the more you know, the more you can know. And the more that you have information in your mind, the more connections you can make, and the more you can explore those connections and deepen your connection with your personal history, so that when you elicit your personal history, as I've been doing tonight, then more things will come to mind. It'll be easier and easier to make these associations. You won't have to struggle. The struggle with your memory will end. So if you want more information about that, come join me at magneticmemorymethod.com/data, DATA, and we will solve that on my free webinar, the Digital Amnesia Takedown, and 3 ways that you can really get this sorted for yourself so you can remember anything really fast. It's going to be a lot of fun. Look forward to seeing you there. Thanks as ever for all your support and your interest and checking out the latest episode of the podcast. Really going to be great. And all the magnetic love from my heart, from here in the Magnetic Memory Method podcast to you, wherever you may be. Enjoy the rest of your day or your evening or your wherever you are. And we'll see you soon over at magneticmemorymethod.com. Thanks for being here. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.